Verse 5, right? And I think this is the second temptation. Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. Verse 6, if you are the Son of God, he said, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone.
Two things that we do wrong is either we think too much about Satan or not think about him enough. Because he's there, he's tempting you time and time again, but many times we don't pay attention to the temptations that he's giving us. So here he's clever. He's using Jesus' own tactic, the same thing that he did in the garden. He's going to quote scripture but misinterpret it, right? So this is why we need to really know our scripture. He's quoting Psalm 91.
Okay.
It says, God will take care of you. Nothing will happen to you. And so if you were to jump, just go ahead and jump, and angels will come and take care of you. Is God really good? Okay. Is he sufficient?
Yeah.
Well, let me prove it.
Jesus answers him, and he says, it is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test.
How is Satan twisting our idea of God? And also is what are ways that we're putting God to the test? And this doesn't mean you can't ask questions.
Right.
I think there's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
Like it is a state of indifference, of just non-reliance. I just don't want anything to do with that. So I can take care of myself.
Yeah, I think that point that you just made, David, is a good one, because as a person who has been in the faith for, let's say, 20 years now, I think recently there have been a lot of questions. I've indirectly been discouraged from having those questions, or made to think that something's wrong for having those questions. But you're saying that that's not necessarily true.
Yes.
Right.
Well, I think, for us in the West, if you want to go historical, philosophical,
let's do it.
There's a guy named Kant who he basically talked about the only thing we really know is our experiences. That's the only way we can be certain of.
Right.
And so I think it's important to know what these guys wrote about, and the Enlightenment and whatnot, because it really affects the way we're taught in the school system.
Okay.
And so with that is we can only rely on what we experience. So if I'm going through a tough time, then I can only trust what God has shown me through my experience, not what God will be in the future, what he is now and what he is in the future. Does that make sense? So we place so much emphasis on what I'm experiencing circumstantially that many times we don't trust the Lord and who he is based on what he has said.
Right.
And so I think here with Satan, he's telling him, well, experience it. Make sure you live it out. See if it's true, instead of just trusting in his word.
When we only rely on our experience, right? When we only rely on what we've been through or what we see as reality, it leaves little room for faith.
Yes.
It leaves little room for believing that there is something greater than I am.
100%. So you want a faith that you can control. That's not faith.
Right.
It is
almost by definition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head with that. The faith that God requires is a faith that is solely trusting in him, in his word and his promises. That's why I love the name of our church, the Promise Church.
Yeah.
We're trusting in him.
Yeah.
And his promises.
Absolutely.